Welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday morning. Howdy. Everyone, quickly, please go follow twitch.tv/breadcrochet, HIBeercut, Hey Hambliss, Coffee Grabbed. Cheers then. How's everybody doing? It is Thursday, is it not? Yes, it is Thursday. Okay. So there is some good news. There's some good news. There's a possibility that I may end up being permanent in terms of being able to work from home. I'm hoping that goes through because that would be absolutely amazing. I mean, that would be the most ideal scenario, to be quite honest. Or at the very least, if I only have to go into the office like on Fridays or whatnot, that would be great. Hey, Memo for the record. Morning. So I think that hopefully this pans out the way I want it to, and yeah, you won't have to look like you're working all the time. I'm always working. Alright? That's my secret. I'm always working. Nice, I hope that change can be permanent. Me too. I mean, it makes sense from every angle, right? It's beneficial to me. I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about the commute, and the company doesn't have to worry about all the resources that it takes to have the employees in the office, electricity, you know, all the costs that come with it, the building, the electricity, the internet, all the other expenses that it costs to have an office operational. So I mean, it's just a win-win, especially if your job can do it, right? Especially if you have a job that can do it. There's no real reason. There's no like real reason why I can't do the things that I do here. Employees have literally been telling their bosses this is better for decades, but bosses be like, why would I listen to you? And they finally were forced to do it. Yeah, it's because like I feel like it's like a I feel like it's a micro managing kind of thing. It's like a weird psychological thing, right? They need to see you there, right? Not that it really matters or changes anything that you do in your job, but I don't know, I feel like it's a micromanage, like, control thing. Yeah, and then they went, oh, look at this like, great idea we made up. That's right. I mean, there has been studies about this, I believe. Literally, the modern management style was adapted from Little's. I don't know if it's, well, I don't know if it's like adapted from literal slavery, specifically factory slaves. Yeah, I don't know if like if we have like that as a new concept in terms of like how that's developed. I personally don't know the history, but I feel like that's just developed because corporations generally, just as a general standard, are an authoritarian like setup, right? There's always a pyramid type setup, right? And you need people to manage under you. So I don't know if that's just like, if that's specifically where it came from. I have no idea. I don't know if that's specifically where it came from, but it is inherent to corporations in terms of like, yeah, of course, there has to be some type of like hierarchy in their eyes. It's not like there's a more democratic way of doing things or nothing like that, right? I think the cops are here are expecting for trouble. Juneteenth. Oh. Do you see something going on there, Chai Bureaucrat? Here, we'll go into it. They're planning to do 12 shifts, no time off for that weekend. Oh yeah, so I suspect, well, as a precautionary, I imagine they're gearing up preemptively. I don't know if that means anything, but Juneteenth, let's look that up. Just to give you... Oops. Just so you have an idea. Known as Freedom Day, Liberation Day, Emancipation Day, is a holiday celebrating the emancipation of those who have been enslaved in the United States. Originating in Galveston, Texas, it's now celebrated annually on June 19 throughout the United States with increasing official recognition. It is commemorated on the anniversary of the date of June 19th, 1865, the announcement of General Order No. 3 by the Union Army General Gordon Granger proclaiming the freedom from slavery in Texas. And that's what the history, the background of it is. That's what their mindset is. Yeah, I mean, for all, yeah, I'm not surprised, Chai Bureaucrat. Not surprised at all. I also want to give a quick thank you to some of these wonderful folks who followed the channel offline. Shroom Life 420, thank you for the offline follow. And Itod underscore for the follow. Thank you so much. Hey, big dangly things, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well today. Morning. So first of all, hey Shroom Life, how's it going? Hey. Thank you for the follow, by the way. I appreciate that. So I kind of want to take a second to to address, like, I don't know what the word would be. Negativity, spitefulness, vitriol. This attitude of holier than thou, narcissistic type of attitude that I've kind of I'm not gonna even like name exactly, like I'm not even gonna bring attention to the drama or whatnot, but I do think that it's important to talk about like how you address people, especially if you consider that person on as an ally, like ideologically. And I feel like there's been an unnecessary amount of like vitriol against people for absolutely and legitimately no reason, and sometimes against good people, right? like sometimes against like one of the most like benign people. And I feel like the way sometimes online discourse, and I hate like being vague, but I'm not gonna like bring energy to this drama. I'm not gonna bring energy to this drama, so I'm gonna like be as vague as possible. But I feel like look, I feel like somebody's already understanding where this is coming from. I see you. This is like no, trust me. I think somebody understands exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like this online discourse, the way the way this is framed, because, and this has been, this is like starting from way back when, that kind of encourages this type of behavior simply because of, well, it produces clicks. It doesn't, and it does it not. It turns out that when you watch people playing blood sports and yelling at each other, or sometimes yelling past each other, never addressing any of each other's points. I mean, people just love to see that. They love to see people engage in this. I don't know. It's just something that's part of human nature, almost. I don't know. But it is toxic, and it's getting to the point where like it's almost borderline impossible to have real online discourse, right? And the other day I just saw some type of behavior that was quite honestly reprehensible, unacceptable, and I think that we should be more considerate and understand that like we're all this, like we're friends here, right? I mean, supposedly, allegedly, we're all friends here. We're all trying to make, I assume we're trying to make this a better place, right? I assume you want to make this a better place, and I feel like instead, all you are doing is just torpedoing any meaningful ability to coalesce and make change. I hope you're doing well. Hey. That's right. When people start taking action, it can make others who are wanting to take action but are not feel lesser and often lash out. We love to be mad, yeah, and let our lizard brains take over. Yeah, that's right. Especially when we live in a societal void, strategically stripped of meaning for the capital machine. Yeah, I mean, like, I understand, you know, and I understand that, like, a lot of, you know, societal, like, plagues, I don't know if, like, that's the right word, societal issues, do have are a byproduct of alienation. Yes, I'm not going to deny that. Yeah, telling someone else to, yeah, quote, right, yeah, because you have different beliefs is wild. Yeah, even within your own factions, okay? Even within your own factions, like, even against, like, people who have completely ideological, like, differences, I feel like we forget that there are reprehensible human beings. But you know what? They're still human beings. Okay? They may be the most gross of gross, disgusting, horrible, you know, people, but they are still people, right? Let's just not forget that, okay? And even when we have splits within our own factions, because there are, you know, as human beings, we all have different thoughts and different ways of going about things, but generally speaking, I think that most of us here are flowing or moving in sort of the same direction, right? Maybe not. Maybe some are here as opposition, or just are listening to the other side, and that's fine. But even then, I would argue, are you sure that you're opposed? Are you sure that you're opposed to making this place better? Are you sure that you oppose making this better? Are you sure you're opposing to try to get people the basic necessities for life? You know, I don't know. I hate watch. Hey, Hambliss, I see you. I've been watching Ben's YouTube videos. Oh, they're good. They're good. I think we played one the other day. But yeah, like on that rant, Keynesian, and now I'm a filthy commie. Yeah, but like the thing is, whether, you know, you agree or disagree, remember, we are all here together to try to make this a better place, right? I mean, like, let's not lose sight of that. Like, the end goal is to always leave this place better than we found it, right? To always better this place. And that means doing whatever it is. Hey, we still don't have healthcare. Can we focus on that? We still have the climate crisis looming over our heads. I mean, there's a lot of work to do. But my point being is, I feel like people should really understand, especially those who have even even an ounce of following, whether it be 2 people or 2,000 people. Understand that your words matter, and understand that what you say and how you say it makes a difference, okay? What you say and how you say it makes a difference. Here's some candy. All right, yeah. So I just wanted to like speak that into the world or into the void, because like I feel like we're just completely like disconnected from the goal, right? We're just completely like, you know, the goals of trying to make this better, the goals of bringing people together have just been completely sidelined for the sake of like owning somebody, or for the sake of you know, just dunking on people. And this isn't, again, I'm trying to be as vague as possible, but I feel like we've completely lost the plot here, and I'm hoping that people realize that and kind of turn away from that and say, hey, you know what, we gotta focus. We gotta focus. We gotta focus and make meaningful change. Remember food, housing, education, healthcare. Let's not lose the plot here. Did you see Representative Gomer asking the Forest Service, can they alter the moon's orbit to fight climate change? Wait, no. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I think somebody sent me that video. We're gonna take a second. All right, Chai Bureaucrat. That being said, let's do some candy. It feels like pro wrestling. Yeah, for real. I completely agree, for real. The pro wrestling days. Alright. Candy time.
Being able to afford rent? How about getting a real job? Did you know that being a landlord actually isn't a real job, and in fact is being a social parasite on society? Don't believe me? Adam Smith, the father of capitalism, said it himself. Now you might be thinking, I'm one of the good ones providing housing for people. No, you're not. Profiting off of a housing crisis is actually being a bad person. After all, the only requirement of being a landlord is to have money and the luck of having rich parents and inheriting their property. So stop exploiting your tenants with rent increases, rent evictions, and profiting off the backs of actual working class people. Stop being a landlord today. Being able to afford rent?
That's amusing. Yeah, it's like Ultimate Warrior. That's like Congress asking TV man Bill Nye about climate change. Yeah, like, I don't know what that was about. Who thought that Bill Nye was the correct person to bring in for climate change? Like, listen, I know Bill Nye did a lot for us as kids when he tried to, like, introduce science to children, but, like, to my knowledge, Bill Nye the Science Guy is not a climate scientist. Bill Nye the Science Guy is not a climate science scientist. Like, I don't. Oh, yeah, he's got Science Guy in his name. Yeah, so I mean, he's obviously like, he obviously has a degree in something. He obviously knows what he's talking about. I just don't know if okay. Wow, the trolls are out today. Really, seriously. The I don't think that his oh, he's a science engineer. Yeah, exactly. Like, my point was, like, I don't think he's like a climate scientist. Like, you know, that's like asking a you know, a biologist to try to describe like something medical. Like, you know, sure, like biology, but that's a completely different field though. As Ben said, I think America has a problem thinking TV was real. Well, I mean, Bill Nye is legit, just not for climate science. I don't know who in their right mind like was like, ah, yes, we'll get that guy to talk about climate change, even though there's like hundreds of other like climate scientists who actually work in the field, who actually like handle this data. Yeah, we need a science guy. What was Bill Nye's take on it? I think he was trying to say like, hey, I don't know why I'm here, but I guess I'll try to explain it to you people. We can look it up, actually. How's it going, Darknet? Bill Nye. No, not the theme song. Oh my goodness. Testifies in Congress. There's like a 2-hour stream. Was this yesterday? I hope it's not as bad as Bill Gates promoting carbon offsets. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if he has like Bill Gates money to gain or lose or whatever. But let's see.
Brown. Mr. Brown is the first African American
from a large resilience gap. That gap needs to be closed to safeguard homeland security.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a 2-hour test like video. I'm trying to see if we can get it. Should I retweet the feminist critique video to several landlord associations?
Development of a national resilience strategy is essential, as you've noted, Chairwoman. Without a comprehensive approach
from disasters. The last decade has demonstrated the reality of the challenges we face with climate change. More frequent and devastating disasters.
Represented to you, and for America to understand that the loss of life can continue to grow and grow under these natural, or maybe I should say unnatural disasters that have come about through the harshness of climate change and the inattentiveness that we have had over the decades. Mr. Nye?
Thank you very much. So the problem fundamentally, as the world gets warmer, the ocean gets warmer, the ocean then drives these storms. So it's as water vapor goes up in the sky and condenses back to liquid and rains, the circulation is driven harder and harder. And so climate models, and the word model refers to computer programs, would try to predict the fluid mechanics, the way the air and water move around. The storms are getting bigger and they're moving more slowly. So they're dropping more water in places like Houston. Then the other subtle problem, or once was subtle problem, is the jet stream, the circulation in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, so
Gets pushed up.
I think what he's trying to describe is like a feedback loop. Did you talk about Kamala Harris saying do not come to America? Yeah, we addressed that yesterday. I mean, same thing, different person. Really? It's the same exact messaging that the Trump administration did. I mean, it's not no different.
Up and down.
What I did find funny is that like the people of Guatemala were protesting Kamala Harris with Trump won signs. Yeah, do not come, but they also protested her with signs for Donald Trump. Like, does that not register? Does that not register?
The world's climate becomes less stable as these storms move around. And that caused this cold snap in Texas. And then, I used to work in the oil field, and I have a sense of the prideful nature of Texans. I understand you had your own electrical grid, but it wasn't well enough secured against the weather.
Absolutely.
Sort of straightforward things were not done for years through, what my understanding, through free market ideas that this stuff would take care of itself, that any electrical grid any electrical supplier would of course invest in the necessary things to make sure things were safe, but apparently that is not what happened, and it was a catastrophe. This is what I talk all the time. We need all the regulations we need, but no more, but we do need regulations.
Can I quickly go to Mr. Brown for just a second? Thank you very much, Mr. Nye. When these disasters occur, you are the state coordinator, emergency management services. I imagine you deal with a lot of first responders, police, EMS, firefighters. Can you explain how, when these disasters occur, you put real human beings in the line of danger as they have to rescue persons, provide the first line of defense for saving people? Could you just give that information?
The gentlewoman's time has expired, but the witness may answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I
Hey,
apologize.
how's it
I
going?
cannot see that clock, but I thank you for your courtesy. Thank you so very much. Mr. Brown?
Thanks, Congresswoman. Thanks, Chairwoman. Yes, we help to coordinate all of our first responders who put their lives on the line.
Where's the
when it
beginning?
comes
I'm
to,
pretty sure that Bill
search and rescue,
Nye was like,
swiftwater
I don't know why I'm
rescue
here.
for the flooding events.
Here, let me see if it says at the beginning.
Have access to resources, information, and support. Mr. Brown has also served as Deputy Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, Regional Emergency Manager Administrator for the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, and was also a professional staff member on the U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Homeland Security. Mr.
Yeah,
Brown,
that's right,
welcome back.
Memo.
Thank you so much for being with us. And finally, but certainly not least, our fourth and final witness is Pamela Williams, the executive director of the Build Strong Coalition, a group of individuals and organizations with a stated purpose of building a more resilient America. Prior to her time with the coalition, Ms. Williams served as counsel for the U.S. House Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee on Economic Development, Public Building, and Emergency Management. Ms. Williams also has experience working within the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Indeed, for the opportunity
to summarize their statement for 5 minutes, beginning with Mr. Bill Nye.
Hello.
Subcommittee, thank you indeed for the opportunity to testify before you today. It is an honor to share my thoughts on climate change and the threats our nation faces because of it. My name is Bill Nye, as you may infer. These days, I'm a science educator and a television presenter. I may be known to you and your families as the Science Guy. I began my career as a mechanical engineer working at Boeing. My professional license is still in Washington State.
Mechanical engineer, that's what he is.
FEMA acronym. Failure Effects and Modes Analysis. I was paid to solve physics problems and figure out what could go wrong on a 747 airplane.
Right.
I learned a great many things. First,
let me begin my my opening statement by making it extremely clear that I am not a climate scientist. I'm a mechanical engineer. Note, Boeing. Yeah, he worked for Boeing. Or works for Boeing? I'm not a scientist, but I play one on TV. True.
First, a modern jetliner is an amazingly reliable, extraordinarily safe machine. largely because it is subject to good regulations. Second, commercial airplanes only get into trouble when they take off with something that's already broken. A system the crew thought was working isn't working, then several things go wrong at once. And when it comes to climate change, the analogy to things already broken, along with multiple problems developing at the same time, is compelling. Suppose Russian hackers had attacked the Colonial Pipeline while a hurricane was coming ashore at Gulfport, Mobile, or Gainesville.
America's
Recently,
a reality
the entire
TV
state
show.
of Texas, as was mentioned earlier, was shut down because of a snap of cold weather. It was the product of years of insufficient failure effects and loads analysis. It killed almost 200 people. Along with the heartache, the cost is estimated at $130 billion. These miserable outcomes could have been avoided for a fraction of what we'll all end up paying. The pipeline hack was a mean-spirited thing and a lot of trouble. The mess in Texas was a disaster. But the next time, or the next times, may be much, much worse. Back in 1977, as you may have heard,
I'm sorry. Listen, I love Bill,
eventually led him to a day job
but
as CEO of the Planetary Society. And Dr. Sagan often spoke of what he called comparative planetology. By comparing Earth's atmosphere with those of Mars and Venus, scientists came to understand the importance of carbon dioxide and the greenhouse effect. You may have heard. Researchers at Exxon understood this too and wrote about the potential for disasters back in that same 1977. But we've done almost nothing about it. Greenhouse gases are inducing climate change here on Earth, and it's happening now on larger and larger scales. We're seeing bigger storms, more floods, more droughts, more fires, more loss of shoreline, and more businesses and people displaced as the ocean swells. Therefore, the sooner we stop adding greenhouse gases to our air, the better off we have a chance of being. If we don't stop, more of these events will happen, more of them will happen at the same time, and that will increase the likelihood of convergent problems. It was stated earlier in our opening statement. The ranking member said we can't control the weather. It turns out we are controlling the weather. Inadvertently, by accident, we are controlling the weather, and we got—
Now, hold on. Okay. It's not by accident. It's... He just admitted that Exxon knew about this since 1970, whatever. It's not an accident. I feel like this is like a rambling, kind of a bit of a ramble. However, his final point here of, look, greenhouse gases are a problem, and this is our fault. He could have just said that. His point is that we need more regulations. Yeah, but like, I don't know. It felt completely like off base when he started talking about like airplanes and like trying to make that analogy between how like one thing on an airplane can like domino effect, and like, I don't know. I think we're losing we're losing people who don't understand this when we can just say, look, the reality is, A, climate change is real, B, humans are causing it, and C, the majority of this problem is through fossil fuels, and we need to stop these fossil fuels. It's not sustainable, and it's affecting us, and failure to do so will result in X, Y, Z, and then start labeling and start listing the stuff that will happen if we don't address these issues. That's it. That's what the 5 minutes should have been used for. But yeah, I mean, like, look, I love Bill Nye and I grew up with him, but holy crap, who was like the person that was like, yes, I know who we're gonna drag in here to talk about climate change? A mechanical engineer. What? Yeah, all he needs to say is we need to stop burning fossil fuels. Bill Nye is the science communicator. I remember this guy, one of the few people on TV that actually understands science. Yeah, I'm not gonna knock him like for being a good communicator on TV, and especially for kids to like get them involved in science. But this wasn't the appropriate this is a congressional like hearing about climate change. You need to have climate scientists, preferably climate scientists who are currently working on on data right now, climate scientists who are in the field right now seeing these things firsthand, to come and testify what they see to Congress and just bombard our youth with it so that when they grow up a bit they'll care and believe in it. I mean, yeah, education is part of it. That's true, Future Wolf. Pre-modern social media, my coworkers would debate which celebrities had groupies. I would argue that Bill Nye didn't, but 12 years later admit that I was wrong. Jesus. Can't they just bring out the chart that Gore had? No. So like, I'm not gonna knock Bill Nye. He's not like uneducated, that's for sure. It's just like, why would you bring Bill Nye for a climate meeting or congressional testimony or whatever? I just don't think that this was appropriate.
Gotta cut it out. Now, everything on an airplane, from the wheel under the nose to the light on the tip top of the tail, is there for a reason. Anything extra that you put on an airplane would add weight, which would shorten the range, make the plane less efficient, make it more costly to fly. But even with that in mind, airplanes are required to carry all sorts of emergency equipment. Life vests, rafts, exit doors right in the middle that no one ever uses. You want the plane to have everything it needs to fly normally, but also everything it needs when things go wrong. These regulations are good. They keep us safe. So just like extra pieces and parts of an airplane that you don't need, we don't want regulations that we don't need. But when it comes to addressing climate change, regulations are essential. Having healthy neighborhoods where things do not stop working is a way to keep people healthy and working. It's why we have infrastructure like smoke detectors, fire alarms.
Yeah, okay. This makes absolutely... I get it, but I feel like he's causing more confusion than is necessary. I feel like he's causing more confusion. Yeah, he needs to be more specific, that's right. Because, like, I don't know what, like, first of all, what regulations he's talking about. But I feel like this is more, in terms of, like, people who don't understand this, it's more confusing than it needs to be. He's an engineer, he's trying, yeah, that's the problem, Wing. He's not a climate scientist. I thought there was a clip for a new show. Yeah, they need to have climate scientists there for Congress. Correct.
And fire hydrants and all that plumbing, so firefighters can keep us and the built environment we rely on safe. Now, this is where you all come in, members of the subcommittee. We want all the rules we need to create all the systems we need to address climate change. Now, as you may know, I grew up right here in Washington.
What does that mean?
I rode my Schwinn bicycle to the first few Earth Day events on the National Mall. I locked my bicycle to a flagpole, probably not allowed these days. But back then, we emphasized individual actions. Every little bit hurts. That was one of the slogans. But when it comes to climate change, everybody, big ideas.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I have 13 seconds.
You're actually out of time. But if there's something more that you'd like to say, please do so during the question and answer period.
Oh my god, he was just about to say how individual actions aren't the only thing that are necessary, or really the only things that are gonna help. Anyways, yeah, Bill Nye wasn't it turns out Bill Nye was not the guy for this. They probably didn't want a real scientist to tell people what is actually required. Yeah, I mean, like, for the past, decades and decades of scientific research in terms of, like, how we understand climate change, the more and more, the more and more obvious and bleak the picture gets, right? The more and more obvious and bleak the picture gets. The reality is, we need to get off fossil fuels as soon as possible with as much aggressive action as possible, right? Whatever we can do to reduce and eliminate fossil fuels is what we need to be doing 10 years ago. I mean, like, whatever it is that we can and need to do to stop using fossil fuels is what we need to be deploying. I mean, there's no other way around it. The energy system needs to be renewable. That's a big part. Darknet also brought a point here. We need to stop driving cars, which you could argue to reduce that. Make public transportation efficient. Make it green. The cars that we do have, make them as renewable as possible, like electric cars. Attempt to reduce the usage of planes, which again, public transportation can help. If you have efficient, high-speed, renewable trains like monorails that are high speed throughout the country, maybe you don't need a plane to go cross country. You know, we could have efficient green trains, high-speed monorails. Like, I think pretty much a lot of these, like, industrialized countries are already, like, way ahead of us in terms of that. So there are ways we can do this right now. Like, right now, without even, like, you know, without even, like, doing like a massive, like, oh my goodness, our life is going to be radically changed. Like we can do a lot of these things right now. We can move our energy system to renewables. We can move our cars and we can move our cars to electric. We can improve public transportation with green public transportation to be more efficient, so that it disincentivizes the need for cars. We can have like high-speed rails that would reduce the necessity for airplanes. I mean, like, all of this. We can make subsidies to make non-meat foods cheaper. I mean, when high-speed rail comes to the US, it will cost as much as the first-class planes now. Maybe. I mean, unless it's like subsidized or made by the government. Sometimes, yeah. So, I mean, just mainly I do US politics, but sometimes I go across the pond. Consumer prices, does that include gas? We're going to talk about this because we kind of went over this a couple days ago, and I think Sourcing brought up some good points. Hey, how's it going, Golden? There's been a big breakthrough recently in graphene aluminum ion batteries. Worth a look. Hey, I thought I gave you a shout out. Ah, there we are. Okay. I mean, that's good. Technological breakthroughs are important, but I don't know. It depends on like if we can get that deployed. They'll only slightly reduce our emissions, but it won't make any significant impact. Well, like I mean, I imagine that the ideal scenario. I think that the ideal scenario is that there will be a initial investment which will create an initial uptick in emissions to get everything going. But once some more electric type cars are the norm, especially with subsidies and efficient public transportation, to disincentivize the necessity for cars. I think that could be another way. Encouraging walking and biking is the most important thing to focus on. Oh yeah, I mean, that's great. That's great, absolutely. But we have to make it so that that's like a possibility, right? And that includes, hey, maybe efficient public transportation that is green will encourage walking and biking instead, because you could just hop on a green, green public transportation, or you make whatever cities that you have easier to travel, right? Because like a lot of this, the way the cities are set up, I mean, it forces you to either need a car or have good public transportation. So there's no exact, it's Darknet. Humans used to build cities where everything was in walking distance. There's no way we can't do that now. Yeah, so the cities have to be then redone in the manner that that it is possible to do that. Otherwise, I mean, the only option would be to make sure that we have a good, efficient green public transportation that will encourage what you're talking about. Yeah, like a real good tri-rail system. Electric cars would just kick the can down the road. I mean, like, I'm not gonna knock the idea of like trying to encourage like the way we set up our cities and the way we set up new planning, or try to even adapt the cities that we have to make it more more green, more efficient, and encourage people to walk and bike. I would not be I would not knock that idea. I mean, one of the things that we can do is eliminate the commute altogether. Eliminate the commute altogether. All jobs that can be done from home should be done from home. all jobs that can be that can work from home should work from home. That's one way of doing it. Riding a bike 50 miles in Canadian winter is ludicrous. Like I said, it's just like I think that we should be encouraging the most efficient manners of possible, the least polluting, the least fossil fuel emissions as possible. Like everything that you can do to cut fossil fuels, we should be moving in that direction. Everything that you can do. Anything and everything that includes encouraging biking, encouraging the way we set up our cities, encouraging green public transportation, anything that we can do. Disincentivize using airplanes with good with good high speed, rails, tri-rails or monorails or whatever, trains. I mean, this can be done. It's just a matter of whether or not we would like to take the time and effort and money to invest in that. Yeah, good infrastructure would be a start, so that is a possibility. But until then, we're kind of effed. Just the TLDR is really that. What are these ads? Oh, this is a progressive ad.
Here in the Netherlands, our family routinely takes advantage of the network of safe cycling paths found almost everywhere. These are so safe that even our young children can cycle themselves to school, activities, and friends' houses, and they have become an important part of the high quality of life we experience here. Unfortunately, all of this is completely impossible back in Canada because there, we have winter. And of course, you can't cycle in the winter, or so I'm told, repeatedly, by people who've never tried it. This is the city of Oulu in Finland. It is considered the winter cycling capital of the world. This is a city where 22% of all trips are taken by bicycle, and where 77% of the population says they cycle at least occasionally. And yet, despite their harsh winters, over half of these people cycle all year round. And it's not just the young and the strong who cycle in the winter here. You'll see even very elderly people cycling in minus 20-degree weather. This is what the bicycle parking lot of a typical elementary school in Oulu looks like in January, because 52% of all trips to school and university are taken by bicycle.
Why? Because
somehow, even little Finnish kids can cycle all year round. So this does lead to the obvious question. Why are Canadians so giant
come on,
wimps?
nah, hold on.
But maybe it's not quite that simple. This is the city of Tampere, also in Finland. Despite the fact that Finnish people call this a swimming pool, far fewer people cycle in Tampere compared to Oulu. So why is this? Fortunately, we don't have to
news
guess,
is the government has been found guilty of corruption. New case law says you can't fire someone for misgendering them.
In cities with cold winters, there is almost no correlation between winter temperatures and the amount of winter cycling. Let that sink in. The temperature and weather conditions do not significantly affect the level of winter cycling in a city. It is a complete myth that people do not cycle in the winter because of the cold. So what does the research tell us? Well, there need to be two things in place to get people to cycle like they do in Oulu. First, is there a network of safe bicycle paths? Is it possible to get to where you want to go without having to share the road or regularly cross paths with high-speed motor traffic? This is something that Oulu does exceptionally well. Oulu has 875 kilometers of separated bicycle paths that connect every part of the city. That's over 4 meters of bicycle path for every resident. In fact, Oulu has only about 600 meters of painted bicycle lanes in the entire city, which makes perfect sense because when it snows, you can't see white paint. But you can see images cleverly projected on the snow from above. Nicely done, Oulu. And this is not some kind of super compact medieval European city either. Oulu has plenty of car-centric sprawl and many people live in single-family homes.
No, I think the point is that you can encourage the majority of the population to do this. Not saying, I think the statistic was what, 70%, 77%? So yeah, I think that try having a bike. Yeah, I think the idea is you have to have special bike paths specifically for this, which was addressed with the whole infrastructure thing, and about get as many people on board as possible. Like 77%, was that what they said? Yeah, like the majority of people. So I'm not saying that every single one human being is capable, but I think that the majority can and should be encouraged as much as possible. That's the TLDR of this. It should be encouraged as much as possible.
In fact, it has almost exactly the same urban population density as my hometown of London, Ontario in Canada. Like, this is creepy how close these numbers are. And why is it that every city has the ugliest flags, except for Amsterdam? Anyway, there is literally zero reason why a typical mid-sized Canadian city couldn't be like Oulu if it was designed properly. Oulu just takes the effort to connect every resident to the places they want to go with safe paths for walking and cycling. And even better, many of these bicycle paths are designed to be shortcuts that are faster than driving, encouraging people to cycle even more, just as is done in the Netherlands. And if that wasn't enough, Oulu also has over 300 underpasses that pedestrians and cyclists can use to avoid major roads. These make it possible to cycle entire journeys without ever encountering a traffic light, or even needing to stop. This should not be a surprise to anyone. A network of safe bicycle lanes is the single biggest predictor for the level of cycling in any city in the world. It's significantly more important than any other metric, including culture, distance, hills, and in this case, weather. After a safe bicycle network, the next most important element is snow removal. Is the bicycle network properly maintained in the winter? And this is the real key to Oulu's success, as there are very, very, very few cities that do this well. Toronto, as an example, is a city with fairly mild winters, compared to Finland and most of Canada for that matter. Yet very, very few people cycle there in the winter. When you look at videos of winter cycling in Toronto, is there any surprise? Most of Toronto's bicycle paths are painted bicycle gutters. These become dumping grounds for snow. They're routinely driven over by drivers, leaving tread marks that melt and refreeze into impassable paths of jagged ice, forcing cyclists to share the road with cars. Even the proper separated bicycle paths often get snow dumped in them by snowplows. And only a fraction of the already minuscule bicycle network is maintained in the winter. The city says they don't even start plowing unless there's more than 5 centimeters of snow. This is the reason why few people cycle through the winter in Toronto, or any other Canadian city, not the weather. In Oulu, the priority bicycle routes are all plowed within 3 hours of a 2-centimeter snowfall, and they will be plowed multiple times per day if necessary. Snow removal contractors guarantee that the depth of the snow will never exceed 4 centimeters, and they maintain the paths with hard-packed snow that is free of ice and debris, making it easy to cycle on. To put it simply, the bicycle paths in Oulu are considered important pieces of infrastructure that get people from point A to point B. So they don't want cyclists to start competing for space on public transit, or worse, to drive cars, just because it snowed. They make it a priority. Oulu proves that cold is not the issue. Snow is not the issue. Winter is a lazy excuse used by ignorant people to make the discussion of safe road infrastructure go away. The snow might explain why only 22% of trips in your city are taken by bicycle instead of, say, 42%. But when less than 2% of your population rides a bike, it's not because of the weather. It's because people don't feel safe cycling. Period. The truth is, cycling in cold weather is really not bad at all. Toronto routinely gets cold days, but without much snow, where the roads are perfectly clear. So after getting sick of waiting on transit vehicles that were constantly stuck in traffic because Canadian public transit is stupid and counterproductive, I decided to try cycling to work in the winter, and it was fine. There's nothing hardcore or extreme about cycling in winter. I did it, and I assure you I am not a particularly tough person. Just ask my brother.
You mean my brother? He's a total wimp.
Yeah, Memmius, no one's saying that every single person is has to do this. No one's saying oh yeah, all the old folks or people that can't should be this is the only thing that you can do. What I'm saying is, and with this video I would pick different words, but the idea is as many people as humanly possible should be encouraged, and the pathways and infrastructure and maintenance should be provided so that it encourages this, thus reducing the amount of cars, thus reducing A, the necessity for them, B, fossil fuel output. Anything that you can do to minimize that should be done. That's basically the TLDR. Driving a bike in the winter is not going to happen. Yeah, for now. Maybe if they had better taken care of infrastructure, it might encourage more people. Maybe if they have better infrastructure and better actual pathways, might encourage more people. That's the point. I'm not saying that every single human being is going to be like this, but if you can get a good majority, like a good 70+% of people having access to this or using this, that's a good thing. I'm not saying that everybody is going to do this, but anything that can be done to continuously shave off fossil fuels should be done. It's just as simple as that.
This. Yes, leave people cycle. This is and of life we
Yeah, like 52% of all trips to school and university are taken by bicycle. That's pretty good. That's a good chunk. You know, that's a good chunk. When you get 4 to 5 feet in an average snowstorm, you really don't know what you're talking about here. Well, yeah, those days you probably won't be able to, but if you have proper infrastructure to take care of the snow, then yeah, it could be done. Again, I'm not saying that this is going to single-handedly do that, but hey, whatever you can do to shave off fossil fuels is what we should be doing. I don't understand what like where the disconnect is. Unless you're on my life, you don't know. All right, come on, guys. Let's not get into this. The idea, the idea behind this entire thing is we should be doing whatever it is that we can to shave off fossil fuels, right? So the idea is encourage as many people as possible to do this. That's it. That's literally it. Average snowfall for Canadian cities. Yeah, so for these 2 months, maybe it's not possible. For these month and a half, it's not possible. Okay, fair enough. But my point is, and the video's point is, we should try to encourage this as much as possible. There's no need to be getting stuck in the weeds, alright? Folks, this is what I was talking about earlier. We don't need to talk past each other before realizing that we actually probably understanding and just not hearing each other. Yeah, depending on where you live. Oh, I missed that part. Yeah, see, you guys are like talking past each other. The fundamental idea is, hey, we should be encouraging any method possible to reduce fossil fuels. Does that make sense? And it's clearly possible to have bike paths in this manner. So we don't need to get bogged down in this in this details, right? And maybe it is true that in this specific area, and maybe it is true that in Mammoth's specific area it gets harsh. Okay, but shouldn't it be the same logic? Shouldn't it be the same logic that we should try to do whatever is possible to reduce fossil fuels? Even in your area, shouldn't we do whatever is possible, including when it's not so harsh, to encourage people to, you know, do whatever it is? Oi, Come on, folks. Keep it easy. Alright, so the main idea, I think, is the plot is completely... The plot is completely lost. This is exactly what I was talking about. The idea, Memmius, is we are trying to do whatever is possible to reduce fossil fuels in the manner... in whatever manner we can. That was the entire plot of this, right? Maybe it doesn't apply to your area, maybe it does. I'm not sure. Not saying that some can't, like in Toronto or Vancouver. Where winters are mild, but anywhere else is ridiculous. Okay, maybe so, I don't know. But my point still stands. My point still stands. Shouldn't we do what is necessary to reduce as many fossil fuels as possible? That's it. That's it. I think we're losing the plot here. We all agree that we should be working to do whatever is necessary for the climate, correct? We all agree that climate change is real. We all agree that aggressive actions are necessary to address this problem. Yes? I want to see Darknet driving a bike in my town in the winter. Well, if your town doesn't have it set up for that, it's not going to work. My point being is, we should try to encourage this wherever possible. Does that make sense? Dude, the trolls are out in force today. Oh my god, this is like one after the other. Alright. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Okay. Memmius, do you understand my do you understand my point? Or before we get caught up into like the most minute detail, okay? When we're all just talking completely past each other, do you understand my point of we should encourage this behavior? We should try to do whatever we can in the places that we can with however much possible to reduce the amount of fossil fuels. Hey Jesse, how's it going? The kittens were born yesterday. Hey! How's it going, Alex? There's 5 and they're tiny and adorable. That is awesome. Most places can run ice and snow. Most places are not driving bikes in winter because it's insane. I hope you also understand that. Okay. I guess like the point being is like completely lost. Like, the point is completely lost. Like, I'm saying there are ways that you can reduce that. And I think in the places that are capable of doing this, should. Anyways. I live underneath a glacier. Alright, folks, we're getting bogged up into absolutely no, yeah, it could happen, and we should strive to do whatever it is possible, if possible, to shave off as much fossil fuels or necessity for fossil fuels as possible. That's it. I don't get what's like so we're getting bogged down here for, and I'm not gonna spend the entire stream doing this. Okay, the TLDR is with the right infrastructure, it could happen. And if you invest in infrastructure, which is crucially important no matter where you are, infrastructure to handle or to make it easier for you to have green, renewable energy and reduce fossil fuels is what should be done. That's it. All right, let's hear this.
Through teams, we were able to launch a new beach cruiser. It was called the Lemonade Cove.
Per second.
Understand from what's been testified to the Forest Service and the BLM, and understand from what's been testified to the Forest Service and the BLM, you want very much to work on the issue of climate change. I was informed by the immediate past director of NASA that they have found that the moon's orbit is changing slightly, and so is the Earth's orbit around the sun. We know there's been significant solar flare activity. And so is there anything that the National Forest Service or BLM can do to change the course of the moon's orbit or the Earth's orbit around the sun? Wait. Obviously, that would have profound effects on our climate.
I would have to follow up with you on that one, Mr. Gohmert.
What? Yeah. Wait, no, there's no following up with this. Wait, there's no following up with this. What? Wait. I'm drowning in kittens, aw. There's no following up with this. What are you talking about? Why are you I don't even know how you would entertain this idea. Like, this isn't an idea to entertain. Oh yeah, let's figure out a way to like solve let's figure out a way to alter the moon's orbit. Instead of like doing the things that are realistic, like trying to, I don't know, maybe reduce the amount of fossil fuels, maybe try green infrastructure, maybe try, yeah, let's focus on the birds aren't real. Oh my god, we're not doing this. I've seen the subreddit. I've seen the Reddit posts, or the Reddit forums. I'm not doing this. Birds are real. I'm solving this case right now. Birds are real. I have one, therefore it is true. Yeah, I'm gonna have to circle back with that. I'm gonna have to circle back. The moon now spins out of lockstep with the Earth. I mean, like, how does this even, like, where is this, like, where is this logic coming from? Larry vaccinated, she should have laughed in his face. Yeah, that's what I mean, she tried not to. She tried not to.
With you on that one, Mr. Gohmert.
Look at her. Yeah. She's like, hey, good morning, Comrade Radio. Thank you for the follow. I'm gonna need to prove your eyes are real. They're real because I say they are. That's just how it is here. If you knew what he was talking about, you'd know that we need to increase Earth's gravity somehow. Yeah. So, like, this doesn't make any type of sense. Are you okay? Like, Armanoff? Anyways, yeah, they're government spies. All birds are government spies. I mean, to be fair, wasn't there like a program to use dolphins as underwater spies? Because they're like incredibly smart. Wasn't there like a program where they tried to use dolphins as like underwater spies? To monitor like enemy sub movements or something like that? I don't remember. Jabberjay on top of which sharks with laser beams on their heads, yeah. And their cats sometimes accidentally get outside and pregnant. It happens, accidents happen. Yeah, like what are you talking about? Cats, listen, cats single-handedly are not destroying the planet. I think you're confusing the cats' like abilities to destroy the planet with our abilities to destroy the planet. The Navy investigated the possibilities of dolphins plating limpet mines. Were deliberately put on ships to kill rats, and also the reason they were introduced to places like Australia. Okay, yeah, and? And? That doesn't mean, like, you need to, like, go down and, like, I don't know. Cats cause all kinds of ecological destruction. That is true in areas that they're not supposed to be in. But, yeah, I think he was explicit with that Darknet. I think he was very explicit. Rounding them up, homing them, and getting them fixed. Yeah, I think he was explicit with that. Anyways. Neutering is neutering is an absolute. Yeah, of course, my cat is fixed. Absolutely. The Navy used dolphins as a smart torpedo to blow up. Oh, Jesus. Is that true? My indoor cat is getting fixed as soon as I can afford it. Adopting a cat and keeping it indoors is fine. Breeding cats and letting them outside is wrong. True. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that statement necessarily. Our cat is fixed. Why are scientists wait, what, Grolem? Why? Why the Navy isn't a real branch? I don't know. Maybe Golem might have something to say with that. Oh my god. Science gone wrong? Why would anybody do that? Yeah, that was very explicit. Come on. Just be responsible and that's it. You do what you can. You do what you can. I mean, they're already here. Or just don't kill tiny defenseless animals. True, just do what you can. Oh my god. Why would science do this? We kill other invasive species all the time. True. That's a dedicated scientist. Did he use loop? No, I think they tested it on a chimpanzee, unfortunately. Alright, chat, focus. Alright, chat, focus, okay? We're getting way off the rails here. Number 1, birds are real, and that's the end of the that's the end of that topic. Anyways, that was a incredibly nonsense questions to ask. Hey, OG Landshark. No, cats are cool. I like my cat, okay? I like my cat. Consumer prices jumped to 5% in May, the fastest pace since summer of 2008. Yeah, that's getting to, 2008's, 2008 vibes. I'm getting some 2008 vibes. Headline consumer prices rose 5% over a year, the fastest pace since August of 2008, higher than Wall Street expectations. Yeah. Remember when they said they figured like, oh, maybe it's not that big of a deal? I don't know. I don't know. Jesus Christ, Golem. Consumer prices for May accelerated at their fastest pace in nearly 13 years as inflation pressure continued to build in the US economy. The Labor Department reported on Thursday, the Consumer Price Index, which represents a basket including food, energy, groceries, housing costs, across the spectrum of goods, rose 5% from a year ago. Economists surveyed by the Dow Jones have been expected a gain of 4.7. The reading represented the biggest CPI gain since 5.3% in August of 2008, just before the worst financial crisis sent the U.S. spiraling into the worst recession it had seen since the Great Depression. Yeah, these are very, very red flags. Very, very apparent red flags. We've been talking about this for quite some time. Like, just not good. Alright, hey folks, I'm gonna have to ask everybody to chill and focus, because otherwise, like, I'm gonna have to I don't want to be that guy. Okay? Can we just chill? We're having a chill time here. We don't need to go after each other. We don't need to bring up these things. Yeah, I understand, Golem. I'm sorry. So can we just everybody chill? Yeah, don't make me start actually reading chat and like start like taking action. It was a joke, not real life. Yeah, it doesn't like, can we just chill? Went from literal zero inflation, so of course it would ramp up with the opening. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like it, Chai Bureaucrat. I don't like it. The reading represented the biggest CPI gain since the 5.3% increase in 2008, just before the worst financial crisis sent the US spiraling into the worst recession since the Great Depression. Though the inflation readings are well above anything seen since the financial crisis, the Federal Reserve has largely been dismissive of the numbers. Central bank officials believe the current rise is due to temporary factors that will abate as the year goes on and look higher because of comparisons to the year ago period, when much of the economic activity remained restricted due to pandemic precautions. Consequently, market participants generally do not expect to see the Fed react to the latest numbers when policymaking Federal Open Market Committee meets next week. A separate gauge that excludes volatile food and energy prices increased 3.8% versus Dow Jones estimate of 3.5% for so-called core inflation. That was the fastest pace since May of 1992. Another report released on Thursday that showed that jobless claims for the week ended June 5th came in at 376,000. The estimate was 370. 6,000 off the 6,000 off. Chill and news chat. It's early. True. It starts getting dystopian when we put commercial real estate into the mix. Yes, that's right. Yellen toying with raising rates. Yeah. Inflation isn't bad as long as you have counterbalances like raising the minimum wage. Well, I think that like the idea of counterbalances is correct. I mean, obviously, like the minimum wage, I think separately should be raised. I think that that's like a separate conversation. But I think that like raising the minimum wage is important, is necessary. I don't think that that's like, I think that's a separate conversation. If you want to like counterbalance in inflation, I think that spending will be necessary, and said spending, depending, it needs to be done in a certain manner, right? I would say as sourcing support talked about this the other day. The spending that we do, because we would need to spend, would probably be best done in infrastructure. We can spend our way out of it through infrastructure. When they release moratoriums on the rent and foreclosures to the bottom is going to fall out of this economy. I mean, yeah, that's another concern. That's another concern. The total still marked the lowest in the pandemic era. Investors, though, remain heavily focused on inflation, which hasn't been a major threat to the U.S. economy since early 1980s. On a monthly basis, the headline CPI rose to 8.8%, while the core was up 0.7%. The estimate was 0.5% for both readings. Markets largely shrugged off Thursday's inflation report, with stock market futures indicating a gain at the open through the government bond yields move higher. The benchmark 10-year Treasury note last traded near 1.52%. Used car and truck prices continued their climb higher, raising 7.3% on the month and 29% for the past 12 months. However, energy index was about flat for the month despite huge run-up in gasoline prices this year, while the food index repeated its April rise of 0.4%. The gasoline index is up 56%. The gasoline index is up 56% over the past year, part of an overall 28% increase in energy. During the period, food prices have remained comparatively tame, 2.2% for the 12-month period. So what this tells me is, like, you know, would this happen if we were relying on as much as possible on like renewable energy? Would this really be, imagine being like tied to the price, like imagine being like hamstrung this way by fossil fuels. Employers are getting hit with the difference, which means unskilled labor getting raises also means skilled labor will jump up as well as where the real expenses are. I'm not sure that's necessarily like how that works. I'm not sure that's how that works, because companies have been raising prices this entire time regardless of wage increases. I mean, prices have been raising for years before this, without really. How long has the minimum wage been? $7.25. For what? Quite some time at this point. So I don't know necessarily if like the raise in wages is the problem. I think that I think that overheating the economy without a proper counterbalance, like spending in the right areas, then yeah, this will be a problem. But I'm not sure, like, the whole wage issue is a separate thing, completely separate, has nothing to do with necessarily inflation. "12 years ago." Yep. That's right, 12 years ago. Gotta take off, everyone, and I'm looking forward to seeing all you this winter so we can all go for a bike ride. Hey. Alright, guys. Take care. Although the folks who want to maintain their profit increase, stock buybacks will always say increasing wages must increase the price of goods. Yeah, but just isn't always true. Because like prices of goods have been increasing regardless. I don't know. That to me seems like a separate problem. All right. G7 summit meeting. NATO, Putin meeting as a defining moment for democracy. I don't know if like defining moment for democracy would be the right headline. I think that the most productive conversations that should be happening on a G7 summit or whatever. A G7 video. Redeemed a video. Sorry, I'm like trying to keep up with chat. When you redeemed a video, okay, sure. I see you. It's how we can create an international coalition to make climate change be a thing. Climate change be addressed. President Joe Biden is spending the next week in Europe, participating in summits in the UK, Belgium, and Switzerland as part of his first overseas trips as president, and the first big moment on the world stage since taking office. Yeah, okie dokie. The majority of US presidents have visited close neighbors, Canada or Mexico, for the maiden journeys abroad. Biden becomes the only second president since Jimmy Carter to begin his inaugural overseas trip in the UK for a G7 meeting in Cornwall, England. That he will then join a NATO summit in Brussels, followed by a highly anticipated meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, a leader he actively dislikes, in Geneva. I mean, like, look, I'm not necessarily like in favor of like saber rattling at this point. I think that the best thing that we need to do is figure out how we can get together and solve climate change. I don't know what incentives need to be done. Maybe economic incentives, resources diverted, but I think that climate change should be the top priority. I don't trust Biden to do it, but I'm saying that's what I would like to see. Expenses go up, the execs will raise the price to cover the cost, being that labor is usually the most expensive part of business. This is known to be a fact in all industries. Raising the minimum wage is great, however, the companies will raise prices to keep their margins. That's not how any of that works, though. That never is a thing. That never is a thing. Here's how I know, like, that's just not like a thing that happens. Okay? McDonald's, because of their labor shortage, because, well, nobody wants to work for, like, you know, starvation wages. McDonald's raised their wages to about an average, I think, in those McDonald's that could, not the outsourced franchises, but the McDonald's ones, not the outsourced franchise restaurants, but you know, the ones that are theirs. They raised it to an average, I think about $16 is an hour was the average wage that it was raised to try to like fill those places up. That's really weird because like their prices didn't really increase. That's kind of weird because their prices didn't really increase. There's been plenty of companies. I'll use mine as an example. Florida decided to pass an incremental minimum wage increase, right? So that eventually, in a 2026 or 2027, in 2026 or 2027, it'll be eventually 15. Our company decided to preemptively raise the wages, and guess what? Our prices aren't changing either. You're talking about a multi-billion international company, not the average company. What does that even mean? You want, like, do you want mom and pop examples? Because we have those too. We have small mom and pop companies boosting their wages, and it turns out it boosts their revenue actually. So I don't know where this is coming from. This like traditional thinking of how like it works is completely backwards. If a company cannot pay a living wage, they don't deserve to be in business. True. Alright. The G7 leaders of the world's 7 wealthy industrialized nations were set to meet in June at Camp David, the presidential retreat, but the coronavirus outbreak hobbled those plans. There's a lot to talk about. Biden will announce the U.S. purchase and donate 500 million doses of Pfizer vaccines to 92 low and middle income countries and the African Union. The shots will be distributed through a global vaccine alliance known as COVAX, with 200 million to be shared this year and the remaining 300 million to be donated through the first half of 2022. I mean, that's good. Among the highlights, setting global economy back on track in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic is still firmly entrenched in most parts of the world. Climate change. Yeah, okay. I mean, this is good, but I want to see exactly what does that mean. What plan does that mean? In defense and security, and easier though no less important, talking about solidarity, multilateralism, and trade, and shared democratic values that many European allies felt had all but vanished under former President Trump's administration. So, I live in a state that has done it. Anecdotal evidence of like, oh yeah, like this one time in this one situation, therefore it doesn't work. I don't know. Like, I think that the overwhelming overwhelming consensus is that like the minimum wage is separate from inflation, and furthermore, wait, how does taking a huge hit from the bottom line necessarily halt the expansion of a business? That seems to me like a bottom line problem. It seems like they did not plan that right. Seems like a failure on their part, not necessarily on the raise of the wages. That's right, memo. It's not an exaggeration to say, oh yeah, I don't care. He's not, I don't care. What I want to know is how this is going to affect any type of climate change talks. Save what John Kerry has stated in the past. That's what I want to hear. But I guess the reality is not just here, but what exactly is the plan here? What exactly is the plan here? That's my main interest about this. Businesses need to own their own failures. I do not believe this is a labor shortage of business people offering shit jobs. Worst of all, like, it depends on the pay. In a competitive hiring market, when there's like a bunch, of people looking for work, increasing payment of employees can bolster profits and attract the kind of workers who will deliver. Because it turns out paying people what they're worth is actually very good for business, okay? Even if it does shave off a little bit of your bottom line, okay? So this notion that paying people more is detrimental and makes it harder to grow and expand a business is just not true in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, if that is happening to your business, where you're unable to pay people fairly, not only pay people fairly, but also have problems when you shave off like the bottom line in terms of making it grow, in terms of making your business grow, that's a you problem. That's a you problem. Yeah, we're doing something. We can't say what, but we promise it's something. So the idea that we can't have like proper wages because of something bottom line is ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. Hey, howdy. Pay people more, spend more, and they spend more and smart business profit. Yeah, like the thing is, like, when you pay workers, what they would feel like would be a fair wage, and generally speaking, a fair wage would be a wage you can just live on, right? You have no problems affording food, housing, education, healthcare. All of these things are kind of like baked into the wage, right? That is the cost of living. If you have that met, you will deliver, right? I mean, that's just like common sense. You pay your people, they will deliver. And you know what happens when they deliver? Profits happen. And if you can't stomach that, and you have an issue with growing your bottom line, because you took like a hit, that sounds like a you problem. Ooh, I don't know if I could play that. I don't know if I can play that for DMCA purposes. Can I make this bigger? Oh yeah, I can. Oh, I actually like this drop back. I wish I could play these songs without it's in time frame. What does that mean? Oh yeah, within the time limit. Yeah, I don't mind playing this. I just don't know about the DMCA availability of this, because I know this song is a famous song. I just wish like DMCA was like not a thing. I think I feel like they could solve this problem, but whatever. It's so easy. I mean, they could just like give out like you have to stop at the time this does. Twitch is on the DMCA warpath? Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, it's hella cool. Yeah, I actually know how to play the intro to this song. Unfortunately, DMCA is bad. And yeah, I think that they could solve this problem with just by giving like broad licenses so that everybody's happy. Here's a cool story. Oh yeah, so I guess just to piggyback off before we move, yeah, so this is true. 500 million doses of Pfizer to 100 countries over a year. I suppose it's good if we can like get as many of these things out there to attempt to stave off the pandemic. I think it's a good idea. Whatever we can send as much as humanly possible, we should be doing. Oh yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's hella cool. So that's the TLDR. I think that the other article addressed it anyway, so yeah. I hope he's sending the vaccines for free. According to what's been reported, it's just going to be sent to them through an international organization, COVAX. Twitch more mad at the moment over fake accounts for ASMR streams people have been doing. True. I mean, like, Twitch seems to be like all over the place. Debates took us away from some really good stories today, even after the great Unity speech, right? Oh god, you guys just ended up proving my point of why I was like so upset and triggered. Arkansas woman suing police after brief. Oh no, we're doing this. We're making this happen, KTS. We're making this happen, okay? Arkansas woman suing police after brief chase ends when the car flipped on its top. US is paying Pfizer for them. Gotcha. A pregnant Arkansas woman's car was flipped on its top by a pursuing state trooper, and I know state troopers and and at least here, this would be unfathomably rare. Okay? At least here, and I know state troopers myself, this would be unfathomably rare. That this scenario was even a thing. Accusing motorists of not pulling over fast enough, according to a video of the brief chase that is used in her lawsuit. Nicole Harper, 38, went to bed on July 9th, believing her unborn child had died in the crash on US Highway 167 in Jacksonville, Arkansas, her lawyer said. She cried herself to sleep, Norwood told NBC News. Harper was going 84 in a 70-mile zone when Trooper Rodney Dunn flashed his lights and flashed lights for her to pull over, according to the lawsuit filed last month in Pulaski County. Dashcam video obtained by Harper's legal team appeared to show that her slowing, activating her blinkers. She's telling you she's trying to pull over. So she could eventually pull over. But on the stretch of the southbound 167, the shoulders are narrow and Harper wanted to pull over safely at an exit. It's essentially a bowling alley with bumpers on both sides. There's nowhere to go and you're boxed in by concrete barriers on both sides. The pursuit was 2 minutes and 7 seconds long. Explain to me how a pursuit of 2 minutes and 7 seconds requires, like, where was the logic requiring a pit maneuver? Okay? Which state? Florida. And you know, I don't know if you have ever been here, but these Florida highway patrols, they don't play. Florida highway patrols do not play. The Florida troopers, the state troopers, they don't play. This would be unfathomable in a 2 minute and second long pursuit. This would be unfathomable, right? He was actually trying to keep the officer safe by planning to pull off the road. Lesson learned. Yeah, I mean, like, the point is, like, this would be, I mean, from my personal knowledge, yes, I know that's the worst part of it, KTS and Darknet. That's the worst part of it. Like, 2 minutes and 7 seconds would be unfathomable, unbelievably, like, again, this is personal like understanding of how like Florida Highway Patrol would handle these things. This would not be a thing. Okay, it's like there have been so many scenarios where there's chases that are what, like 30-minute long car chases before like a pit maneuver is like, you know, like dude, she's not like speeding off. Oh my god.
Did they hit the inside wall?
I can't really show that much because this is from NBC, and you know what? That's gonna get me DMCA too. But Jesus Christ. Cheers. It's not like she was speeding, like trying to get away from the cops, okay? Because the reason why you deploy these pursuit intervention techniques, i.e. pit maneuver, is to put an end to a chase. Is to put an end to a chase where somebody is just like, you know, has been like actively trying to flee the police in a high-speed chase. That's what you use the pit maneuver for. And it's usually because of safety, and not only of the police officers and the safety of people around them. It's usually reserved in very specific circumstances. And knowing, oh my god, this is so like frustrating. What? That journalism just cited the source? Yeah. Oh yeah, 15 mile per hour is a high-speed chase. Yeah, good one, trooper, whatever your name was. The trooper's action constituted a reckless attempt to engage in a conduct that created substantial risk to physical injury. No kidding. The only reason you deploy pit maneuvers is to prevent that. In the video, the trooper approached Harper's flipped car as he helped her out of the wreckage, saying, "Why didn't you stop? Because I didn't feel it was safe." Oh my god. Well, this is where you ended up. Yeah, it's your fault. You got to put... Where? Wasn't there like a public... Well, I don't know if this is in Arkansas, if that was the case. But wasn't there like a public service like announcement where... you know, there was like a big deal about like, hey, you know, if you feel like there isn't a safe place to stop, then make sure that you stop at the safest available location. Do not try to like engage in a high-speed pursuits. Do not try to flee the cops in a high-speed chase. Try to pull over at the most safest, the first safe available place. That side of the highway, which is like about this small, is not a safe space, not even for the officer themselves. I don't understand like where this disconnect happened. I remember they used to do long pursuits and use spike trip before using the pit. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying, Dark Knight. At least how I understood it. And again, this is anecdote Andy, okay? From what I understand, how FHP works, that is legitimately the only reason they deploy a pit maneuver is because they need to end this high-speed chase. And it's causing more of a public safety hazard to continue this high-speed chase than to just try to end it with a pit maneuver. And usually it's not one, but it's a couple of it's used in conjunction with a couple of cops to kind of stop the car, right? I can't take this time for music later. I get it. Completely understandable. There's different levels of escalations. It was a bridge. They did a pit on the bridge. It's wild. It's unbelievably like... Okay. The Arkansas driver license manual urges motorists to pull to the nearest safest spot. Wait. It tells you. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing public service announcements saying that the best thing that you can do is to attempt to stop at the first safe spot outside of yeah, like... And from according to this, I don't know if there's any other conflicting evidence, but according to this, she put on her blinker and slowed down. The intent was not to run away. I guess the good news is that indeed her daughter did not pass away and was born in February. Yeah, and they still wrote her a ticket. I hope that the settlement that comes from this is enormous. And I think that like every time like this type of stuff happens, there should be heavy action taken against officers who engage in this completely irrational, unsafe, and not even part of the way Arkansas has their rules for the road. Okay? I hope they get sued so hard, and I hope each and every time this happens, they get completely sued out of well, not out of existence, that's hyperbolic, but you get my point. And that a police officer or a trooper engaging in this behavior should not be a trooper. Period. End of story. This is not an action becoming of an officer. This is unbecoming of a police officer. This is not acceptable. This is not okay. Yeah, and they still wrote her a ticket. Unbelievable. So yeah, this person should not be an officer. And they should suffer harsh penalties every time this happens. Every time this happens, and I hope that now they and I hope they have to pay now they have to pay civil penalties for this. He's absolutely lucky that the child didn't die. By a miracle. By a freaking miracle, the child didn't die. True. Developer abandons Keystone Pipeline project, ending the decades-long battle. It's over, folks. Supposedly. The TLDR of this. The company behind the controversial Keystone Pipeline said it's officially terminating the project. TC Energy had already suspended construction in January when President Biden revoked a key. Hey, gifted a tier... Darknet gifting a tier 1 sub to Wing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Paying forward the gift they got. Aw, thank you. Oh, awesome. TC Energy already. See, that's the type of stuff that I like to see. You know? Community building. That's the type of stuff, like... I appreciate that, Darknet. Had already suspended construction in January, and President Biden revoked a key cross-border presidential permit. The announcement ends more than a decade-long battle that came to signify the debate over whether fossil fuels should be left on the ground to address climate change. TLDR, This is good news for the most part. I'd rather it be stopped than it be allowed to continue. So I guess small W, but hey, every W counts. So yeah. Environmentalists oppose the pipeline in part because the oil it would carry, oil sands crude from Alberta, requires more processing, so thus producing more greenhouse gases, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad. Keystone supporters, including the oil industry, said pipeline construction would have created much-needed construction jobs. Yeah, hey, you know what? You know what else would produce awesome, much-needed construction jobs? Jobs that require building green infrastructure, like solar and wind. Yeah, yeah. It is unfortunate that political obstructionism led to the termination of the Keystone Pipeline. This is a blow to U.S. energy security. Hey, you know what would be awesome for U.S. energy security and energy independence? Being on green renewables that don't rely on fossil fuels. And a blow to the thousands of good-paying union jobs this project would have supported. Oh, really? Like, we could also create thousands of good-paying union jobs, creating the future, laying down the groundwork for green energy and renewable infrastructure. So yeah, nope, don't buy it, sorry. But a billionaire can't own the wind or the sun like they own, and yeah, that's true. Look at that. The State Department estimated a full-time permanent job to be closer to 50. Wow. So even that's hyperinflated. Oh yeah, these would be temporary construction jobs. Like, no, they're not. They wouldn't be good full-time union jobs. What kind of lie is this? Thousands of good union jobs. Actually, closer to 50. So it's not like the argument. It crumbles like a house of cards. We don't need this. We should be moving our resources to green renewable energy as quickly as possible, and to try to put an end to fossil fuels as a thing. So that's good. That is good news. Alright, it's hard to make an intellectual argument in favor of the Electoral College. Most people feel that the person who gets the most votes should become president. And that's the TLDR for this article. If anything, representative democracy in the 21st century is about political equality. It's about one person, one vote, everybody's vote counting equally. You're not going to convince a majority of Americans that's not how you should do it. And another way of the Electoral College is unfair, says Harvard University political scientist, is that each state gets electors based on representation in the House and Senate, which means small states get extra votes. Yeah, like this idea that that somehow like the Electoral College brings balance to our representative democracy is actually not true. And furthermore, it's not necessary in terms of like deploying elections, as we have elections all the time for state, local, and federal that have absolutely nothing to do with the Electoral College. It's just who gets the most votes wins. That's it. It's as simple as that. I think that also this is a deficiency in democracy. I think that it would be better, and it may even encourage more people to participate if their one vote was just that, one person, one vote. I think it would be encouraging more people to vote if they had that as a concept, right? Because I mean, how disillusioned do people feel like in Florida? I mean, this is not to say that you shouldn't vote, but how many people feel like disenfranchised in Florida, or like disillusioned in Florida when I don't know, for example, you check the Democratic candidate all the way down the list, right? You choose each Democratic candidate, or you choose I don't know, Green Party down the line, right? And then it all counts for naught because the Electoral College still delivers the win for blah blah blah. Like it doesn't. It makes certain states completely irrelevant, while others carry an entire election. I don't know. Doesn't seem very democratic. It's part of Georgia where there's no Democratic candidates, only Republican write-ins. Yeah, so... Wait, but even then, like... But even then, like, for example, well, Florida used to be a swing state. But I don't think it's, I grabbed my what's it? Dang it, Noog Wrangler. Grabbed my coffee, like, just like the title said, drank it, and now I have to poo. Dang it, Noog. So Florida used to be like a real swing state. It used to be an important swing state. We used to determine elections. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Now, I think like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, have more of a weight on elections than Florida does, but the point being is it's undemocratic and doesn't incent. There may be I should have put that in the title. There may be side effects. There may be side effects. So how does that like fit, right? Like it makes people feel like in certain states their vote doesn't matter. Effectively, it doesn't. So yeah, I think that it's undemocratic. It doesn't even do the things that it was set out to do, supposedly. And it's just archaic. I think we should move past the need for an electoral college. It's archaic, it doesn't fulfill the purpose that it was intended to do for checks and balances, and it's undemocratic at the end of the day. No, good point, Chai. Good point, Chai. Alright, folks. We're doing it.
Again, in using the legislative filibuster to block the passage of the Paycheck Fairness Act. Now, the legislative filibuster would require, of course, 60 senators to vote in favor of any piece of legislation, which is incredibly difficult to do when the Senate has a 50-50 split among Democrats and Republicans. Kamala Harris serves as the tie-breaking vote. Now, if you're wondering, what the overall vote was on this particular issue, senators voted 49-50 to try to advance the legislation, falling short of the 60 votes needed to overcome the procedural hurdle, meaning the legislative filibuster. Now, if you're wondering why there weren't 50 Democrats voting in favor of the Paycheck Fairness Act, it's because Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat, didn't show. We don't know why. I think it's incredibly strange that she didn't show, considering the fact that she has championed issues pertaining to equality for women, but she just decided.
Thanks, Madam President, Kirsten Sinema. Thanks, Madam President. I appreciate that, Madam President.
Decided not to show, and if we're gonna hold Kirsten Sinema accountable for her inability to show up to work to do her job, I think that it's fair to call out Gillibrand for doing the same, although I would argue it might even be worse in this case.
Oh wait, hold on, did I do a fake news? Was it Gillibrand or Kirsten Sinema? Oh, did I do a fake news? Hold on.
We don't know why. I think it's incredibly strange. Check Fairness Act. It's because Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat, didn't show.
Gillibrand.
We don't
okay.
know why.
Okay.
I think it's incredibly strange that she didn't show, considering the fact that she has
Hold
championed
on.
issues.
Yeah, hold on. I did a fake news, everybody. Retraction. Because I'm so used to seeing like Mansion and Cinema being like the typical, folks. Yeah, sorry. Fake news, everybody. Retraction. Public retraction. It's Kirsten Gillibrand.
Issues pertaining to equality for women, but she just decided not to show. And if we're gonna hold Kirsten Sinema accountable for her inability to show up to work to do her job, I think that it's fair to call out Gillibrand for doing the same. Although I would argue it might even be worse in this case because she's not carrying out actions that go along with what her messaging has been in regard to equality in the work.
I just clowned on myself. Sorry, folks. All right, I got the names wrong. I apologize.
Place. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what are the provisions in this legislation that just got defeated through the legislative filibuster? It's not just about ensuring there's equality in pay based on gender and all of that. It actually has important provisions that affects every single one of us. Right. For instance, the bill would limit employers to bona fide factors such as education, training, and experience when justifying pay differentials.
Okay, so here's something incredibly important. A difficult line. For my, I think for like April 1st, I think that's what I'm gonna do. The children of amazing. Okay, so here's something incredibly important. Yes, obviously there should be justifications for pay differentials, and we've talked about this. There's a reason why. I don't know. I'll just use myself as an example. There's a reason why I get a quarter extra than, I don't know, the other person. Why? Because it's listed that I get paid a quarter because of my Spanish. There you go. Just to give you an example, it's not really I'm just making it up, but the point is the same, that the reason why I get paid X is because I speak Spanish, and it's itemized, right? It's itemized. Language 0.25. The fact that I work the late shift, 0.8%. The fact that I do X, Y, or Z, it's itemized. Always discuss with your employees your wage. Yeah, this was crucial to that. It limits an employer's defense that a pay differential is based on factor other than sex, bona fide. Yes, that's what we went over. But here's the part that's incredibly important, and I want to stress this. It is unlawful to require an employee to sign a contract or waiver prohibiting the employee from disclosing information about the employee's wages. The bill also increases civil penalties for violation of equal pay provisions. Yeah. This right here is incredibly crucial. The ability, without having repercussions or retaliations, the ability to discuss your wages with your coworkers without the taboo is important. That's one of the most crucial parts of this. Because if you do that, if you take away the taboo, if you take away the ability for an employer to retaliate against somebody because they're disclosing their wages and make people ask questions, if you take that away, guess what? All of a sudden, wages can't be differentiated unless there's a good freaking reason for that. So that is the core of it, right? Because in order for you to have the ability to fight for, like, let's say there's some discrepancy in wage, the only way you know that is to have that taboo ripped away about the ability to discuss wages. Being like, hey, wait a minute, why do you have $16 an hour? I get like $15.45. Oh, it's because actually I get point whatever because I speak Spanish. Oh, okay, well that makes sense. Oh, hey, that's really weird. You get like an entire like extra dollar more than me. What does it say on your paycheck? Oh, it's because you take the night shift, and the night shift has an extra benefit of blah blah blah. Like, there's a reason for that. There isn't like just, oh, you get paid less because you're a woman, or you get paid less because of any type of like immutable characteristic, protected class, gender orientation, identity, and all this other stuff. That eliminates that, because if you have the ability to freely discuss your wages without taboo of retaliation, then all of a sudden this starts to disappear. How many sociopathics do you feel good about themselves? They can't feel the whole inside. Yeah, that's true. There are some people like that. Are designed to keep so many conventions in society are designed to keep people suppressed. Yeah, exactly. And making discussion of wages taboo is one of them, right? And sometimes even retaliatory, like, you know, they're very adamant when you first start a job, like, you know, look, this is very private. You don't need to tell your coworkers that today you got an extra raise of 15 cents or 10 cents or $1 or whatever. You don't need to tell them that. Here, just take this, and don't tell anybody. This is just for you, you know, just for you, just for you, just for you, right? Meanwhile, somebody is taking an L for that, right? So no, I completely agree. And the fact that, like, the fact that the Democratic Party isn't even, like, capable of trying to address this in the Senate. Jesus Christ, this isn't even like a massive deal, to be honest. Did I miss my cute animal video? Nope, we're gonna do that right now. Is not even like, what how hard is it to take this W? How hard is it to produce this W? Jesus Christ. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, look at that. Oh. So we'll have cute animal videos while listening to this video in the background.
Wage discrimination claims. As Senator Patty Murray, a Democrat, said, and I think this is exactly right. Right now, an employer can brush aside reports of pay discrimination by saying things like, well, he was a better negotiator, or they work in different buildings. And then she says, I mean, what does that have to do with it? And that's exactly right. Now, here's the other part of the legislation that's important. Employers would also be prohibited from retaliating against workers who compare salaries, and barred from inquiring about prospective employees' salary histories during the hiring process.
So we gotta do a double cute animal video.
Right there. First off, having the ability to speak with your colleagues, speak with your coworkers about what you're getting paid is an important.
Yes, that's true. So speaking about this, Jesse, I'm gonna do another segment of cute animal videos tomorrow, so that both of so that there's a back-to-back cute animal video happening, instead of me trying to do a 2-for-1 special. Instead, I'll keep your points up so that you can do another one tomorrow. As much as I like seeing Anna's face, yeah, we could still listen to what's happening, at least for another minute or so.
Because that's how you find out whether or not there's an unfair pay situation taking place. Now, the second half of that is about salary histories, which is also important. Think about how many millennials graduated into a disastrous economic situation, were unable to find work after graduating from college, and unfortunately were forced to take jobs that paid them far less than what they should have been making. Because of the system we have in place now, where potential employers look at your salary history to make a decision about what you get paid, that unfortunately and unnaturally keeps the pay for people low based on what their starting salary was at their first job out of college. We need to do away with that system. It is not the right system to function under, and it clearly keeps salaries and wages low, thus benefiting employers and putting employees at a giant disadvantage. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about Senator Mitch McConnell, because
all right, so yes, more uselessness from the Democratic Party. And here is Mitch McConnell using, again, all of the tools available to them. I don't see, like, where's the Democratic Party? Situation in the US is not disastrous. For who? It depends. For who? On the level of entitlement. Nice meme, bro. And there's always a lie about your salary. It's very rare for companies to check, and most companies will not disclose the information due to liability issues. Yeah. Alright, folks, it is almost 11:30. I do have to get going. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out here. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate all of your support. If you enjoyed the channel, make sure you hit that like button, share the stream, like, subscribe, do all the awesome stuff. Is there a charity where you can hook up a scroll to the guitar asking for a friend? I have no idea. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, do the awesome social medias, do the YouTubes, join our Discord, do the awesome stuffs. Thanks for the show. Thank you guys for hanging out. Oops, that's not how you do Discord. As always, guys, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next stream. See ya! Alright, hang with me, folks. I don't see anybody here. Great stream. Thanks, I appreciate that. I'll just do this really quickly. Alright, let's head on over to Ben's. I don't see him here, but that's fine. We'll raid. Alright, folks. Hang tight. Oh, 503 error. What? 503 error. Okay. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Just raid. Leap. Flomp. Ben. Alright, let's just do it. Alright, folks. I appreciate you guys. Take care. Stay cool. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Saturday Catterday.